Well, hello and welcome back to the Finding Traction podcast. I wanted to take a minute and throw a bit of a welcome back party for myself in a narcissistic way. But I've been gone for the last month or so. If you've noticed, there's been no podcast. So I wanted to just do a podcast to reconnect with everybody, tell you a little bit about what I did on my summer holidays. Like you do when you go back to school. That's the very first thing your elementary teacher has you write, and share a bit of a recovery lesson that I learned as well. So it's great to be back. Welcome back to the Finding Traction podcast.
Ready?
When it comes to porn, are you stuck, spinning out, or slipping backwards in your life? If so, then welcome to the Finding Traction podcast, a show dedicated to those who are looking to gain recovery momentum away from porn and toward the life and relationships they have always hoped for. Now, here's your host, Vern Tomke.
Well, like I said, it's great to be back, and I want to share just a few things that happened over the last month, 4 or 5 weeks. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to all. Many of you have written me. I get encouraging emails from different people saying how much the podcast means to them, and when it stops, how much they wonder where I went. But let me share a couple things that have been going on in the last, 4 or 5 weeks, things that have been highs and lows. So first of all, let me share a high one, then a low one, and then another high one. So here we go. First of all, I run what's called alumni groups. Those are for anybody who has been through the 52-week Finding Traction course. And if you have been through all 52 weeks, you still are not, or maybe you're only partly tired of the sound of my voice, and you've been through the entire course. And guys that have been through the course or guys that have been through my groups, they develop a real camaraderie. I think I have 3 different alumni groups for different guys that have been through groups. Or some of the guys have been through the course just with working with peers or working with their friends. And so what I've begun to do is invite those guys to meet with me for a weekend. And so we did our very first one down near Reno. My buddy Jim has a ranch near Reno, and I flew down there and I met with 7 alumni guys who've been through the course. And we had an amazing weekend together. Now, I'm going to tell you what it was called and then explain it because it's a bit of a weird name. The name of our get-together was called Brush Popper 2025. And you go, Brush Popper? What is that about? Well, you got to understand, first of all, we're in northern Nevada, a complete Western cowboy feel. And what the brush poppers were, they would go on these cattle drives. And you think about a cattle drive where you're driving cattle from one place to another. And along the way, certain, cattle would leave the herd and get lost deep in the brush. And, most of the smart cows would go along with the rest of the herd. But there was always 1 or 2 headstrong cows that would get lost or go down into a ravine. And even, in sparse, dry, arid climates, the brush could get pretty heavy. And so the brush popper was kind of the low man on the totem pole. And he wore these super bright cowboy clothes. And this is all from my buddy Eric, who told us the story. And we all had these bright orange T-shirts, and they would wear these bright clothes so everyone could see them, and they would be tasked with going down into the heavy brush and finding these stray cows that have got lost from the herd on the cattle drive. And then they would drive them back and reunite them with the herd. And so that was the role of the brush popper. And so we thought, what a great theme for us to talk about because, first of all, I'm not a real cowboy. And we're in cowboy country. We went to Virginia City, which is complete cowboy-like, and got cowboy pictures. And but the brush popper theme was so appropriate in where we were at, and in this place, you can capture the idea that along the way, many of us have got lost from the herd. Many of us have got lost in brush. We can't find our way back. We've lost our sense of community. We've become disconnected and isolated. And the brush popper theme was somebody who comes in and comes alongside us and brings us back into a place of wholeness and healing and community. That was the role of the brush popper. And so it was a great theme. Like I say, we had a great time. We went and checked out a couple old mines. We went again to Virginia City. That's where all the silver was mined, and basically helped fund apparently the federal government for a while. All of the boardwalks are made out of wood, and just had a great weekend together, sharing our stories. How we had come through. What we'd come through. And it wasn't that all of us have arrived. It was just a sense that we were in process. And the fact that we had been journeying together gave us a real sense of camaraderie. Not all the guys knew each other because just for sake of timing and availability, I have 3 different alumni groups. And so there were guys from different alumni groups. So we had a great time. So that was really the high point. Brush Popper 2025. I flew down to Reno. We spent the weekend together. And it's just one of the things that we'd like to do on a semi-regular basis for guys. So if you are interested in that, again, we'd love to have you get into one of the Finding Traction groups, and that's just something we'd like to make available. So that was the high point. Going into the low point, right at the tail end of that and flying back, I came down with the COVID, and really it messed me up. For the following week, coming off this great high time together with the guys, I was super sick. A headache. Coming back, I had chills and muscle aches. I mean, it was not pretty, and it was not in good shape. So I'm still feel like I'm partly recovering from COVID, and now it's been going on 2.5 weeks, but I'm mostly back. But so that was a low point. And so and then of course my wife got sick after me. So that was kind of the low point that took me into week 2 and 3 of my time off. And then the last week, had a great time. We went out to Vancouver Island and went out with my brother-in-law on the Pacific Ocean, and was feeling a little bit queasy. I don't know if it was the COVID or just the rocking of the open ocean, but we caught our limit we caught spring salmon, we caught pink salmon, and some coho, I think. They all look the same to me. But we had a great time on the ocean. We caught some fish, hung out with my sister and brother-in-law. My son got to visit him in his new place on Vancouver Island. So I showed some pictures to the guys of all the fish I caught, and some guys didn't believe me. They thought it was photoshopped. But, some of my guys just need a good slap up the side of the head. So there you go. We did catch the fish. Limited out. We were allowed 8 fish, and within about 3 hours, we caught our limit. So had a great time. So those are a few things as to what's been going on over the last month or so. So I am wanted to share with you one of the little recovery lessons that I feel like I'm learning from my time away. Now, many of you guys will know that trips are often difficult for recovery. You get into a strange place, and maybe you're around open technology, and you don't really want to tell, your family or your parents or your in-laws, hey, you got to lock down this technology. That's not really an option, right? And so, so one of the things that going into the new environment, it was just like, okay, this is going to be a bit of a challenge. Now, it just worked out that I spent most of the time on my deck, on the deck, and my wife was around the TV. So that wasn't a problem. But the very first night, we started to watch a show. And let me just say, the show was a clean show. There are shows that you just know by the nature of the show. One of the attractions of this show is that it's just skanky. There's a deeply theological word for you, skanky, if you know what that word means. This is a show that's gonna titillate. This is a show that uses low-grade arousal as part of its attraction. This show had none of that. We started watching it, and I really enjoyed it, and my wife really enjoyed it. And there was like 6, 7, or 8 episodes in the show, and it was kind of going to be one of our late night things that we did at the end of the day. And so we're watching this show, and there is a gal that comes on the show, and okay, I'm going to describe her. In this way. I found her achingly beautiful. In other words, the fancy word for is she completely fit my arousal template. And it was just, oh my goodness. Is it possible to have such a beautiful woman? Is it possible to have somebody that has so much sex appeal? And so that's what happened first night of my trip. I know many of you have experienced that. And so, it could be one of the possible solutions would be for us to just say, well, we're not going to watch that show. Show's not going to be appropriate for me, because the impact that this gal had on me really bothered me. It really left me feeling vulnerable. She didn't do anything wrong, but it really tweaked some vulnerability in me. And early on in my recovery, we would have probably just chosen another show. But this time was a bit different. What I had said to myself was, I have been trying to learn in, many years into recovery now, a principle that maybe I first heard about with John Eldridge from Wild at Heart, and then Andrew Bauman, the therapist that I've interviewed before. And he talked about getting to a point where we learn to honor and bless beauty rather than consuming it, rather than coveting it, rather than taking from it. Now, that might sound like a really strange concept, but it makes sense to me. Not every beautiful person in the world has done anything wrong. They're not intentionally trying to tempt you. They're not intentionally trying to arouse you. Yet we, in our brokenness, we, in our pornographic mindset and our pornographic lifestyle that we developed over years, in our brokenness, we find them having a power over us. Now, this was a person on TV, but many of you could maybe think of somebody in your workplace, or somebody that you go to church with, or somebody in your extended family that might fit this bill. And the answer is, so what do you do? Do you simply remove yourself? Well, they're a threat to me. They threaten my recovery, so they must be dead to me. And so this was the very first night of our holidays. I'm trying to process this. This gal has a real impact on me. How do I deal with this? Again, I was prepared to not watch that show. But the next morning, I felt like over the next couple days, I actually had some real tools that helped me come up with a proper perspective in trying to apply this idea of honoring and blessing beauty rather than consuming it. So the next morning, I was spending some time in Scripture, and one of the little disciplines I've been trying to do is trying to memorize some of my favorite psalms. I find some of the psalms of King David to be especially helpful to have something to go to in my mind when I am maybe bombarded with sexual thoughts or a dream or wake up in the middle of the night. It's been a huge tool for me. So, two of the most common ones that I've memorized are Psalm 1 and Psalm 23. And Psalm 23 starts this way: The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. That's in the New Living Translation. And so this is the morning after this night of seeing this gal on TV. And I just thought, wow, what a perfect solution. What a perfect answer to this longing in my heart for this other gal. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. Of course, Psalm 23 goes on and expresses in a number of ways how the Lord meets those deepest needs in our heart. But I've been thinking this through. If the Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. What that means is I am completely filled. I am completely full. I am completely in a place of satisfaction. And so I don't need to take something from anybody. Excuse me. I don't need to pull something, steal something. I don't need to consume somebody else's beauty, take from them, pickpocket from them, rob them. I don't need to see them in a bathing suit. I don't need to research and find out more about them. I don't need to find out, do they have, arousing pictures online. I don't need to take anything from them. I have all that I need because the Lord is my shepherd. I am in a place of overflow. I am not in a place of scarcity. And you may say, well, I'm single. How would that work for me? I'm not married. I don't have a wife. I believe that's a core concept that applies to all of us. If you have at the baseline your needs met, you're not going out hungry and taking things from people. I had this funny story, and this might mean something to all you burger lovers out there. It's I'm not super proud of this, but me and my son and my wife went out to my favorite restaurant, Red Robin. I'm a burger guy. I'm not a steak guy, and I overate. So what do I mean by overate? I had the Whiskey River barbecue burger, which is my favorite burger, and on top of that, I had a whole bottomless thing of onion rings. And then I was stealing French fries off my wife's plate. I mean, I'm just looking back and go, what a pig. And it was just like, oh my goodness. I mean, I overate, to the point of gluttony. And it would be kind of like me walking out of the restaurant, feeling full and full, almost a little guilty, and then seeing the waitress bringing out another burger to a different customer, and me looking over going, oh, I really want that burger. It was like, why would you do that? I just want more. I want more than what I have. The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. So that was the first part of that. And that was really helpful in terms of me as an opening posture to this show, to this person. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about being stupid with this. I'm not planning on heading down to the local strip club because I have all that I need and I'm completely immune to, some of that. That's not what I'm talking about. I had other people say, well, this wouldn't work in terms of me thinking about my favorite porn star or all of that. And absolutely. But this was just a real person, a beautiful person that I was just going, you know what? I have all that I need. That was the first half of this. Now the second half of this was something that was also helpful. It was a concept that I heard. I've been listening to John Ortberg's podcast. I think it's called I don't know. It's his 10-minute podcast in the morning, and he has this phrase that he borrows from Dallas Willard, and this is the phrase: "I want to bless what I dread." Now, bless what I dread. That's a bit of a strange concept, but I partly took that and changed that to say, I want to bless what threatens me. So this gal on the show, in one sense, she threatened me. She threatened my sense of stability, my sense of equilibrium. The very fact that I desired her was unsettling to me. So in one sense, she was a threat. But I began to go, how do I bless this person? So I began to, in my mind, bless her. I began to pray prayers of blessing over her, blessing for her marriage, blessing for her life, blessing for good things for her. And just when she came back on the screen. And so my first thought, number one, I have all that I need. And because I'm in overflow, I can now bless other people that I come in contact with. Even if they in one sense feel like a bit of a threat, I can bless them. I don't have to take from them. And so I have been working on that concept because that's been one of the concepts that has probably perplexed me the most in my recovery is how do you deal with real beauty? How do you deal with real attraction that's out there? Because it doesn't go away. And when we've been so pornified in our minds, how do you move past that to be a source of blessing, to live in a place of equilibrium? So anyways, take that, and it's just a bit of a lesson that I learned on my summer holidays. I'm not sure how I would put that in my letter back at elementary school. I learned in elementary school when a really sexy person comes along, the teacher might raise their eyebrows, but hopefully you guys understand a little bit of what I'm talking about. So let me just say, as we move towards the fall, I know some of the people, it's mid-August. Many of your kids have either started school or are going to be starting, school in the next week or two. A lot of you university students, there's a lot of young guys that I work with, you're going back to school. Even if you're just coming off of your summer holidays, your holidays are mostly done at this point. We're moving into transition. And transition can be a challenge, but it also can be an opportunity. It can be an opportunity to make a new start. You're never too old to make a new start. I've been amazed working with guys in their 20s. I had coffee with a guy who was 71 a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about making a new start. It's never too late, whether you're 21 or 71 or somewhere in between, to make a new start. And one of the very first things I would invite you to do is to look on the show notes and get on the Circle Learning platform. It's where all my podcasts are. It's where all of the resources I've developed, the worksheets I've developed. You can watch a couple of the Finding Traction videos. They're all there. I think I'm over 150 guys now who've signed up that are on there. Now, let me just say, guys can protect their privacy by just using their initials, so nobody's reaching out to other guys. It's more of a personal resource library for you that you can connect with. So I'd love you to take advantage of that. The other thing is, as we move towards the fall, I know I've been developing a list of guys that say, hey, when is your next group starting? We are looking, obviously, going into the next couple weeks. I'd love us to start a couple new Finding Traction groups this fall. And again, those are guys, I love to get 6, 7, 8 guys together. And what we do is we work through the Finding Traction course together. We journey together. It's great because the guys connect throughout the week. We have people that we can check in with. I checked in with one of my groups yesterday. I had just got back from holidays, and I just felt a little bit off. I felt a little bit vulnerable. I hadn't done anything yet, but I felt like there was a part of me that was just saying, you know what, I could use a real, pick me up. Look to find something arousing. And I just felt off. I just felt vulnerable. But here's the thing. I have a group of guys. I got a lot of group of guys, but I had a group of guys, and I just reached out to them and said, "Hey guys, feeling off today. Just kind of part of me is looking for an opportunity to edge or look for something arousing. Just checking in with you. I happened to have a meeting with them that night, so I said, hey, I'm going to bookend with you when we get together at 5:00, and that's all it took. It kind of sorted me out. It brought me back to a place of equilibrium. And because I have that connection with guys, I could continue to drift. I could have continued to slowly step away from my values, but it's just a way for me to come back to that. So I would encourage you to consider that. We're going into a brand new season. It's never too late to make a brand new start. So if you want to reach out to me, my email is bandofbrothers.care at gmail.care. Let's try that again. bandofbrothers.care at gmail.com. Love to hear from you. If you're looking for a group, or you just want to maybe set up a free Zoom call with me where you tell me a little bit more about your story and ask some questions, I'd love to do that. So let's get off to a great start this fall. Again, it's been great to connect. I'm glad to be back. My voice is almost back. I've got a brand new mic. My son found me this great deal, so I feel bona fide, ready for the fall. We'll see you next time.